And guys, with that, question number 6 is, you've all had deals that have turned sideways and resulted in a loss of money. So I want to know, what did you learn from situations or deals like that? And let's start with Eric.
Hold on, I want to get my camera set up like CJ's here. So, you know how we do over at the U, Weasel. I'm glad that I'm going. You know, it's only suitable that the camp would go last in the last round. No, I'm sorry. That was funny. What's the question?
The question was, oh, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. All right, the question was, you've all had deals that have turned sideways and resulted in you losing money. Give me a lesson that you've learned from those types of situations.
I mean, I think the lesson is, right, and we talk a lot about, you know, New Western and all these places that focus on dispo. One thing you don't talk about is everybody remembers their first deal, and it's often because it did not work out the way they wanted to. Those people spend a lot of time in reputation management as well, right? Like, let's be honest. When you're selling somebody their first deal and they're paying a lot of money, the chances of it working out are slim to none, right? So most people on their first deal, I would say larger than 50% of the people, maybe not lose money, but they lose a lot of time. They lose sleep. They lose friends. They lose lenders. They might lose a lot other than just money. But for me, that first deal was, I bought it. I got a number. There was a language barrier from my contractor. He told me 12,000. I bought the house based on 12,000. I closed on it, met him there today. I closed on it to work out the budget. And he said, what about materials? I learned my lesson, about 30 minutes. I said, what do you mean materials, Vinny? And he goes, no material. No, like, basically, I'm not buying materials. You need to write another check for 20 grand. And I bought the house thinking I'd make 15. So the lesson that I learned was, in that particular instance, I took action and ended up making a little bit of money, lost a lot of time, but I learned a valuable lesson. And, you know, the lesson was to just slow down a little bit, not be so anxious to get a deal, get a good deal, right? Because I think that's what a lot of people, they have FOMO. They fall in love with just having a property. The reality is that deal is only as good as the money it produces.
Okay. CJ, your thoughts?
Yeah. Tell me the question again.
Yeah. So the question states, you've all had deals that have turned sideways and resulted in a loss of money. So what is one thing that you've learned from that situation?
Yeah, just to always recalibrate the strategy. You know, I've lost money on deals, and when I reflect back on those moments, it was really often times where I wasn't being innovative. I was too focused on what had worked or a way we went about doing things at one point in time, and not being up to speed as far as, you know, what are the newest changes? What are the newest trends? You know, and that starts to affect things like days on market, your price point that you can sell at, and it starts to hurt your margin at different times. And, you know, there's moments where you suffer losses. And so, you know, my thing is always simple. You know, my learning point is just, where do we fail at? I don't mind about the failure itself. I don't mind about taking a loss. When I got into business, I signed up to take losses and bounce back from them. So I don't have a fear associated with that. It's just always like, where do we break down at? Where do we make a mistake? Where do we have that gap? And how can we plug that? And once we resolve it, we can just move on to the next thing, because it's a marathon, not a sprint. And so it's always been the perspective for me. So every boss takes a loss, man. It's just part of the game.
Okay. All right. RJ Bates.
The most recent deal that's gone sour for me has been today's episode. 0 points. And it's Eric Brewer's first win. Really, what I learned is Weasel doesn't have a mute button, and if you just talk 45 minutes straight, eventually the 80 people we have watching today will mercifully just vote for you, hoping that you shut up. And that's how it works.
And here comes the vote rolling in for RJ.
Emotional, damn it.
Oh.
RJ, you got to be innovative, man. You're too focused on the W, bro.
I think we need to raise the question again for RJ also. Both him and CJ need to run that back.
You know, RJ, I personally think that the reason why it didn't go so well for you this episode is because the titanium plate came out a little too late.
That's what, exactly.
Came out too late, man. You got to have it ready at the beginning of the show. Come on now. Do you need me to reread the question, or are you just kind of conceding the go?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Anytime that we've lost money on a deal, it was typically due to the fact that we changed our processes in order to do the deal. So we were too busy to do enough due diligence. We didn't go through. Honestly, the majority of the deals that we lost money on, and we have lost significant amount of money on deals, trust me. I bought a lot in a short period of time, was because we were not set up for it. So we just rapid fire thought because, hey, we did this one and we made X amount of money. If we just duplicate that and times it by 20, we're going to be great. But we didn't take the time that we did on that first deal. That was the sole deal, and we were solely focused on it. Times that by 20, we gave 1/20th of our attention to each deal. That's where things fell through the cracks, and we lost our ass.
Okay. All right. And Steve Trang, bring us home, birthday boy.
I mean, I would say similar to what they all said is just slow down. The big thing was slow down. The deals that I've lost money on is that I moved too fast. I looked at it, didn't do enough due diligence, didn't effectively underwrite, dot my I's, cross my T's, and so on. It was just because I was just moving too quickly. And this was buying from another wholesaler, right? A property we were looking at co-wholesaler flip. But buying from another wholesaler, you realize that the time is sometimes limited and you want to move a little faster. And, it took that and several other losses to learn that you got to slow down, right? Like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, but you can't just force things to make something happen. One of the fastest ways to lose money is to take action for the sake of taking action.
Okay. All right. The voting is now open and the floor is now open as well.
I think the simplest lesson that I've learned was to not be emotional. Like, I think everybody, when you speed up, it's because we get excited about getting a deal. We get excited about taking a deal from someone else. We get excited about, RJ said, we did one before. This is a little bit bigger. We fall in love with the concept. Like, I can tell you, for the longest time when I started, I bought shitholes. I bought $30,000 houses in the city. It was an easy rehab. There was 1,000 people that wanted to buy it because it was under $100,000. And I fell in love with buying $250,000, $300,000 properties because I thought I could put better materials or I'd have a more qualified borrower. And that's where I lost money. I got outside of my niche. I got away from what I thought I was good at. And I thought that just because I flipped $100,000 homes, I could make the same decisions and same progress on $300,000 homes. And the market taught me otherwise because I got emotional. It needs to be an unemotional decision that you make to pull the trigger on that significant of an investment.
Okay. All right.
CJ's internet is so bad today. And I actually hope he wins this round without any sound, no audio, no video, no anything.
He is frozen. That's actually hilarious. Screen grab right there for sure. The voting is now open. Looks like Steve's starting to pull away with some birthday votes, but we'll let that occur for a minute. Eric Brewer is streaming live off of the antenna next.
I'm tapping into CJ's Wi-Fi right now, so he's got 2 bad signals.
Well,
he got 99 times, but bad signals, not one.
I just wonder if he's streaming off of Starlink, potentially.
Speaking of losses, he's got a flip phone he's streaming from right now, a Motorola Razor. It's propped up on his desktop.
Hey, we're cutting expenses, man. We're cutting expenses over here. All right.
Well, his answer should have been Wi-Fi. The first thing I cut when the market gets a little tight is Wi-Fi.
I used to be internet. That was the first cutoff.
So until the voting concludes,
speed internet.
I'm sorry. Until the voting concludes, I do want to remind everyone that is in the chat right now. There's 75 people watching. Please go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Also, the official Part of the Disruption channel that is out there, as well as everyone's platforms individually. Eric Brewer, Chris Jefferson, RJ Bates. Check for everyone. We thank you guys for tuning into this program. We absolutely love doing this program each and every week. It is free game, everyone. Free game right on YouTube. With that being said, it looks like CJ and Steve tied for the last round. So, Steve.
Weasel, could I?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
If you don't mind, man. And Steve, I know I committed to not doing this, and I apologize, guys. But Steve texted me. Steve, I apologize. He said, Chris, you're the most handsome guy on this podcast. Can you just tone down the definition of your camera for just an episode? You're already winning each round. It's getting a bit much. Can you just take it down? So, Steve, I apologize. I didn't want to put it out there. Fellas, I don't know. RJ, I see you turn the beard up a little bit. I get it. But
Sounds
all
like
jokes
something I would
aside,
say. Sounds like something I would say.
all jokes aside, though, on the failure piece, the only thing I was just going to say on that is to explosively scale a business, failure is fine. You know, we all try to scale extremely fast for whatever reason, and that's where I ran into mistakes. It sounds like that's where RJ did well and stuff he's talking about. But at the end of the day, just build a solid foundation, scale fast on top of that. That's really the way to get to where you can go with scaling the business, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. So the voting is
Does anybody else
concluded.
have-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Eric.
Never mind. I just hear an echo. It was tough
He's-
for me to follow, but I'll follow through.
Okay. The voting concluded with a tie, and that also resulted in a 3-way tie. So Steve, Eric, and Chris all have 2 points. RJ,